services on Friday night. They celebrate Rosh Hashanah for one day instead of two. Okay, there are a lot of it's more of an Americanized modern type of Judaism. And I find that as I got older, because I started out Orthodox, I used to go to synagogue every Saturday. And as a kid, and then when I grew up, I gradually went from one to the other. Conservative Judaism appealed to me. And now, as a grown adult with a family of my own and everything, I find that Reform Judaism is okay. I'll accept it. I can live with that. I couldn't go back to Orthodox Judaism, not by a long shot. And Reform Judaism serves me well.
Yeah. Well, I think with those three different types of people you're referring to, okay, you got conservatives, you got Reformed, and you have Orthodox, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have in there this very dangerous concept. It's a very subjective view of who God is, and then what ends up happening is you distort the truth enough. Nobody's going to know who God is, what He wants, and that's sad to me. Because God, throughout the entire Bible, all His desire was for people to know Him, but it's because of the constant rejection and the constant state of hardening their own heart that God's personality has been completely. You see, your view, Mark, really ought to be very objective, and then at least you'd be on the right track. But you don't have that view. You're sort of you're a floating tumbleweed, and I don't mean that because you look like a tumbleweed. Although Felix would say that about you. Sorry,
probably.
Felix,
yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. What value am I now?
Mark looks like a tumbleweed.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
You're like a tumbleweed in the sense. You're a tumbleweed in the sense that you're just sort of, the wind is pushing you around where it wants.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason is because Satan is getting to the best of religion. He's saying, well, we don't really understand Judaism. It's the same trick that he used on Eve in the Garden of Eden. When Eve ate of that fruit, it wasn't eating that fruit that was the sin. It was her desire to be following her own will was the sin. It was the rejection and the disobedience of a God whom they were supposed to love. And that is where it led her. It led her into thinking that she can fulfill her own will. That is a satanic power. That is where Judaism has gone. So I would suggest what you should do is look at the Old Testament for what it is. You can no longer trust anybody. Don't trust a rabbi just because they're Orthodox. Go into the scriptures yourself. Years ago, you know what the popes used to do? And actually they still do it to this day, is they don't really encourage anybody to read the Bible. You know why? Because when you encourage somebody to read the Bible, they're going to find out some answers. The Roman Catholicism started in 300 AD, and the first set of popes would persecute people who had their own Bibles because the church wanted power. Okay, the Roman Catholic Church just wanted power to control the people, and that's what Satan does. That's where he's clever. He's clever in controlling people through religious means. And Mark, Felix, guys, even you, Elisa, you guys are all the product of that. Now I'm here to set you free from that. Well, not me, but God. God wants you to be free from that burden. He doesn't want you to think there's no answers. And if you guys were being truthful with me right now, I bet you would say, Chad, maybe there isn't an answer. Right? I mean, that's what you guys are kind of thinking, like, maybe there really isn't an answer and we're all just we're floating tumbleweeds. right? I mean, that's kind of how I know, Felix, that's how you feel.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's no answers. There's no God that we can really identify. That's a bunch of lies. God has revealed himself. Mark, you just said something interesting a few minutes ago. You said, if somebody would show him to me, hello, God has shown himself to you. He's shown himself to you through the scriptures, the supernatural Bible that he has entrusted with all people. And he's done it through creation. If you think that we evolved from apes, you got another thing coming. There's a lot of crazy theories out there, but creation is the only logical explanation. He's shown it through his eternal power and Godhead, who he is personal. Guys, man, I always plead and beg you to reconsider your thoughts, but, I can't make you saved. You have to go through that through your own convictions and through God's power. But I will say this. You're floating tumbleweeds that are being pushed around by Satan because you think that there aren't any answers. And the reality is there's only one right answer. There's only one right answer. It can't be multiple right answers. So consider that. Consider that. Think about
Chad,
it.
we lost all our listeners because we went off the air. So I'd rather continue this
Mary's
when we're
gone,
on the
huh?
air.
Yeah, Mary's gone.
Well, she can't. The show goes off.
I know.
Yeah. And by the way, Mary said she liked the show, and she's going to have some of her like the show. She seems to be a born-again Christian, though. She says,
great.
She said one of the comments she made is only God can convert him. We can only point the way, which is what you said before.
Everybody's ganging up on me.
Anyway, but she said she's going to have...
we love you, Mark. That's why we love you.
She says she's going to have some listeners.
We want you to be saved, man.
She's got other people that like to listen. She likes the show. She's got other friends.
Well, that's
like
great. I hope that they do.
So she said she's going to get the other friends to join the show.
I think it's great. The more people we have, the more of an exchange of ideas and explanations.
The only thing is, it's hard for me to try to type to her.
Well, you just have to type general answers, like...
but I also at times want to... She's chiming in at times, and by the time I chime in what she says, it's out of... it's
well, that's
late.
why maybe we could convince her to call in.
Yeah, she's called before. Last few times she wouldn't call. But we'll give it a shot again. All right.
How many people are in the chat room?
Well, there was just, as far as I could see, there was only Mary.
Just two. There was one.
There was another guy, but I think
he was on he was on for the whole show, but he never participated.
Anyway, all right, Chad, we're gonna wrap it up. Elisa, okay.
Okay, guys.
All right, we appreciate it.
Have a good night.
You too. Have a great weekend. Okay.
Now, hopefully, we didn't tape too badly because she said we didn't sound very good.
We didn't sound good?
Yeah, me and you.
Oh, the sound.
Yeah,
you and him didn't sound good.
Yeah, that's what she was telling us.
Well, then that's too bad,
All right.
Maybe we sounded hoarse.
Yeah, that's it. We'll find out in a minute when we replay
when we listen to it.
All
righty.
Thanks
Take care,
again, everybody.
guys.
Have a good night. Elisa, we got to get together.
Yeah, let's get together.
We'll do something.
Yeah, the end of school. Celebrate the end of school.
No, she's talking about like a Saturday morning. She wanted to grab.
Again?
No, you're talking about like a Saturday morning, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do something. We'll discuss it.
All right, good enough.
We'll plan.
I got to get permission from the boss.
All right, we're gonna get going then.
All righty. Take care.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
This is the doc.
And this is the Rev saying,
okay. Bye-bye.
Hasta la vista. Bye-bye.